So this is the 3D printed SSD folder case I've been working on. It's basically the folder icon popped out of the screen and became a real object. You can also see this clean pattern on top that I made in Grasshopper. There is actually a reason why I added it, which I will talk later in this video. By the way, this is the second prototype I have made. There is still a lot that can be improved, and in this video I will walk you through the full design process how I made this. The SSD I made this for is the Crucial X9. This is the 2TB variant. It's already pretty compact and portable, but I wanted to give it a new look and some protection, so I built this case. Installation is simple. You place the SSD into the cartridge and slide it into the case and it snaps in. Now starting with the ideation, I had seen a bunch of designs online, but I wanted something that feels more organized, something that you can tag, and something that makes your desk look cleaner. I currently have 3 SSDs and the number is only going to increase, since I usually buy whichever is available or cheaper, which in turn creates a lot of visual clutter. So I thought, why not turn digital storage into actual folders? Instead of random SSDs lying everywhere, you can now have these clean little folder blocks that feel way more organized on the desk. As I mentioned earlier, for now I have designed this specifically around the Crucial X9, and I have tried to keep it as compact as possible with an opening mechanism that feels intuitive. Initially I considered using hinges, but I eventually settled on the sliding mechanism because of its simplicity and reliability. Then moving into 3D modeling, I basically took my sketches and translated them into digital model. First step was getting the exact dimensions of SSD and then building the case around it by adding or removing volumes to get the folder shape. The real challenge begins when you start working on the details, figuring out where it should slide from, the direction of movement, how it locks and unlocks, and what keeps it in place. The tolerances are critical here. If you don't leave enough space between the case and the cartridge, it won't slide. It will just get stuck. Once everything was sorted, I added fillets to complete the form. Roughly a tolerance of about 0.2 to 0.3 mm between the parts worked well for this mechanism. I used Pro Engineer for the main modeling and then moved into Rhino with Grasshopper to add this texture. I basically extruded the front surface, ran it through the script and got this pattern. I'll probably make a separate video just for that. Once that's done, the design is essentially made of 3 parts: the outer case, the button, and the cartridge. Now coming to the execution, I printed all 3 parts using Bamboo Lab X1 carbon. I tried to keep the color scheme close to the classic Mac folder look, with blue outer case and white inner cartridge. I will definitely try a yellow version as well once I got my hands on some filament for the windows. I also designed it in a way that requires minimal supports. Only the inner cartridge needs slight support around the Type-C opening. The assembly is straightforward. The button is one-time snap fit into the case. Once that's in place, you insert the cartridge and slide it in, and your SSD folder case is ready. Talking about the mechanism is actually pretty simple. The cartridge has a built-in hinge-like spring feature with a hook at the end. When you slide it in, the spring flexes slightly and snaps into the place. To remove it, you press the button, which applies the pressure onto the hook, releasing the lock so you can pull the cartridge out. Of course, I didn't get everything right on the first try. This is the first prototype, and as you can see, the pattern is barely visible because the wall thickness and the pattern depth weren't enough. The button was also too tight and stayed recessed, so unlocking it was inconvenient. Here is the second prototype where most of the issues are fixed. The pattern is clearly visible, the button works smoothly, and the locking mechanism feels much better. You might also notice this 4 small holding hooks inside the version 2 cartridge. These weren't present in version 1, which meant the SSD could fall down when you open the cartridge, and these hooks now hold it securely in place. I have also left a small space inside where you can store a tiny pen drive or even a note with passcodes, which you don't frequently use. I avoided adding another wall to keep the design as slim as possible, and the hook do a good job of securing SSD in place. There is also a noticeable difference in thickness. Version 1 has around 1 mm of wall thickness, while version 2 is closer to 3 mm, which helps the pattern to stand out much better. Another idea with the pattern is customization. You can remove specific squares to create letters or tags so you can identify your SSDs without labels. And one thing I really nailed is the locking sound. Here are some more views of the case to give you a better sense of the form. The opening of Type-C cable is designed based on the standard high-speed Thunderbolt cable dimensions, so you can plug it and transfer files without any issues. So yeah, this is the SSD folder case. It's not perfect yet, and I can already see areas of improvement, like adding a better grip for easier removal of the cartridge and possibly integrating a conductive element to help with heat dissipation, since few people have pointed that out. So far I have used it without any problems. My typical usage is around 30 to 40 minutes for file backups, but there's always room to improve the design. Let me know what you think about the design in the comments below. Subscribe for more such videos. Peace.